Views Sunday Square Off, a conversation with the candidates. Now, here is Rick DeBrule.
Well, good morning. Today we begin our special series of Square Off programs by looking at the 3rd Congressional District of Arizona. Facing each other are 7-term Congressman John Shadegg and Democratic challenger Bob Lord. From Paradise Valley, north to Cave Creek, Carefree, and up to New River, the 3rd Congressional District leans Republican, but there is a growing streak of independent voters. They're middle class, and they want to stay that way.
What their particular feelings are on the bailout plan.
I feel like the $700 billion bailout is not going to be effective. Democrat
Bob Lord canvasses precincts, saying he is the candidate of change. Incumbent John Shadegg went to Congress as part of the Republican Revolution, 1994's Contract with America. And Shadegg says he fights big government from inside. And this morning we are joined by Congressman John Shadegg, who's with us via satellite. Thanks for being here. We appreciate that this morning. Stuck back in Washington with everything going on there. And obviously Bob Lord, who's here. We appreciate your being here as well. Congressman, we're going to start with you. You know, with or without the bailout, there's no question our economy is in trouble. In fact, this morning there was talk about the fact that 160,000 jobs were lost over the last month. Headline in the Arizona Republic this morning was talking about no growth for jobs expected in 2009. I'm talking to both of you, but specifically we'll start with the Congressman. How do you change that? How do we move forward? How do we create those jobs? And what do we do for those people who are going to be unemployed over the next year?
I think the number one thing to do is to address the energy problem, and that's what I've been fighting for back here very aggressively. America's had a backward-looking energy policy for now 30 years. We have lots of energy in this country that we could be developing and using here, and we're not doing it. And if we were developing that energy, we'd be moving our economy forward. Right now, we import more than $1 billion a day of foreign oil. We could be producing oil right out of our own country, right here on our coasts, underneath our Intermountain West lands, and off of Alaska. Instead, we're importing it. Now we need, and everybody agrees, we need to get to renewable energy, and I'm all for solar and wind and every form of renewable energy, but all the experts will tell you we've got to produce energy to get us from here to there. The key to that, I think, is to produce American-made energy, and I think that will stimulate our economy, get it moving forward again. I think that's been the biggest drag on the economy, at least to this point in time.
And Congressman, we will talk more about energy in the next segment, but going back to that job situation, what do you do, or do we do something for those people who either are unemployed now or will be unemployed during the course of the next year?
Well, we are currently doing things for those people that are unemployed, but more importantly, what they really want is a job. Do you know that opening up ANWR would create almost 1 million jobs here in the United States and bring down our fuel prices and get us off of foreign oil, buying oil from our enemies? But there are lots of other things we can do, and the Congress has been trying to do some of those things. One of the things we can do is get this mess on Wall Street behind us and get the economy going.
All right, the candidate Bob Lord, running in, Democratic candidate, you obviously heard the Congressman talking about energy. Is that the key to getting those people back to work?
Well, energy is a big part of this. But Rick, we have to look at how we got here. And one thing about this situation that is a good thing is that it's made it painfully clear that these policies of blind deregulation, letting Wall Street run wild, the Bush administration's economic policies, John has been there the whole time with Bush, says it's his duty to support leadership, voted with him 98% of the time. These policies just don't work.
Do we need more regulation of the bank? Do we need more regulations or just different regulations?
We need to have we need to help pull the reins in on Wall Street. We need to make sure that folks on Wall Street are not taking reckless risks. But let's talk about energy for a second if we can. We do need an all the above energy strategy. We need to drill, but we also need solar and wind. But we need a congressman who will not only talk the talk, but who will walk the walk.
All right, we're going to talk a lot about energy in the next segment, so I don't want to get too focused on that. And Congressman, I want to get back to you real briefly. Let's talk about regulation. Do we need, what have we done wrong, and what do we need to do differently when it comes to regulating Wall Street?
Look, my opponent says I voted with President Bush 98% of the time. That's just simply wrong. I have crossed the president time and time again. I've been commended by the Wall Street Journal, Investors Business Daily, and the Arizona Republic for standing up to him. Bob Robb, the Arizona Republic columnist, pointed out that charge that my opponent just made is fundamentally false. Talk about overregulation. Let's talk about regulation. The problem on Wall Street was not caused by overregulation or underregulation. It was caused by the Democrat Congress pushing loose money out into the economy. A bill that was passed under Jimmy Carter called the Community Reinvestment Act, expanded by Bill Clinton, and by people Clinton put into the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, has pushed loose money out into the economy, encouraging people to take out liar loans, paperless loans, telling them they could borrow money they couldn't afford. Yeah, we should blame Congress and we should change Congress, but not by enacting a whole bunch more regulation, but by having the Congress quit interfering as it did under Clinton and as it's done through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to distort the market by encouraging banks. Indeed, the Clinton administration announced they would punish banks that didn't make shaky loans. That charge is just ridiculous.
All right. This is just ridiculous. We've had the Bush administration has been at the helm for 6 years, had a Republican Congress going along with him. John was right there. To say this dates back to something that happened in the Clinton and even the Carter administration is ridiculous. There's been deregulation. John has fashioned himself as a deregulator, and Wall Street has been allowed to run wild. We have let folks on Wall Street take absolutely reckless risks. And it's not a surprise that they did. That's what they go there for, is to take risks. And that's why we need oversight.
All right, we need to take a quick break, and you guys want to talk about energy so much, we're going to talk about it again when we come back. In fact, coming up, the conversation is going to talk a little bit more about energy independence. Will gas prices ever be affordable again? And immigration, what do these men think about those two very important issues?
In the past year and a half, I haven't got a pay raise, but I'm paying $2 more a gallon. So what's going to happen there?
High fuel prices raised the cost of living, wiped out pay raises, and held America's economy hostage. So what do we do about it? And since we started with the Congressman last time, Mr. Lord, we'll start with you and talk about the fact that you support drilling, but how much? How far do we go?
Look, Rick, everything has to be on the table as far as drilling is concerned.
Alaska, everything.
Alaska, offshore, and right here on the mainland. There's 68 million acres under lease already to the oil industry, and we have to make sure that they drill on those. I support an all-of-the-above energy strategy. And that includes solar. And as a representative of Arizona, I know the potential for solar. Thousands and thousands of great-paying, green-collar jobs here to this state. I've met with folks in the solar industry in Arizona. I have their endorsement.
But I mean, that's just one thing. I mean,
it's one component, but boy, if you represent Arizona, you should be pushing hard for that component. And John,